Hey, what is up, everybody? Michael Crump back here again, talking about the latest and the greatest in PlayStation 4, homebrew news, and much, much more. So, you may be asking, Michael, what happened to the PlayStation Homebrew News series that I did 3 other episodes of? Well, I'll tell you. I was originally thinking that most of the items that I covered in the PlayStation Homebrew News really kind of deserved their own episode. Now that I've really been looking back at some of the news items, some of them didn't necessarily get a full episode, or they didn't really get a lot of attention, at least by the homebrew scene. So either I didn't cover them or I glossed over them, maybe even in a live stream. So today I want to make some of that right, and I want to go ahead and I want to talk about the latest and the greatest in PlayStation 4 homebrew news, as well as PlayStation 5 homebrew news and some Vita to Switch news. So a couple of different things. So hopefully there's something in here that would interest you. Let's get started. So we'll start off by coming down here and we will take a look at this emulator that will allow you to run PICO-8 cartridges on a PlayStation 4. So as it states down in here, PICO-8 is a fantasy programmable console made by Lexaloft Games. It says this emulator is compatible with built PICO-8 cartridges in PNG format, and to build your own games, you're going to need the original PICO-8 console. So here is an example of one of the games that's running inside of the emulator. And down into this, you can see there's a couple of different, features that this currently has, as well as how to build this yourself if you would like to, and then just how to run it. For the most part, for end users, you just need to simply come up here underneath releases and then scroll down a little bit here and then just transfer this PKG onto your PlayStation 4. And then once it has been installed, well, then simply you need to load up different types of games. So where do you find those games? Well, you can actually find most of those games right here at this link. And again, all links are always provided in the description below. So here is a number of different carts that it says here that they are either finished or unlikely to change. And then small experimental carts and curiosities are welcomed. So you can look down through this list of games and you can give some of these a shot if you would like to. Looks like there's some sort of Tetris clone that's in here. A bunch of different, maybe like platformers, maybe this Morse code trainer, which actually I think that would be pretty cool to check out. Tennis, and then a few more. It looks like it's something pretty cool, and this has made its way throughout the homebrew scene, so worth checking out. Next up is a site that I built, and what it does is it allows you to program these ESP32-S2 devices automatically just through a web browser. So you don't need to do things like install Arduino or download the source code that Stooge has built or others have built, and then configure the device and then upload it. With this, all you simply have to do is to take your ESP32-S2 device, plug it in via USB cable to your PC, ensure the device is in programming mode, and now you can just scroll down here and you can click on the connect button here, and there is my ESP32-S2 device. And so I could flash it right through the web. Again, this works on things such as Mac. It works on Linux, obviously on Windows, which is what I'm running right here. There is a limited number of browser support. So things such as Google Chrome works great, but other browsers such as Firefox and Safari, they don't work with this. There is a version, or the latest version of Edge does seem to work okay with this as well, but I would use Chrome on the very latest version. One other thing to note here is that while I've created my own host, and again, here is the credits for those that helped make this possible. Now, there is others that have been building pages very similar to this, and probably one of the most popular ones is just right over here by Experiments. And let's just go ahead and let's open up this site, and you can see right here, here is the X Host Pro Web Installer. So again, I could just click on connect, and there is my ESP32-S2 device. And so I could connect, and then I would have the X Host Pro Web Installer along with the different payloads and more on my device. So again, this works really wonderful with offline scenarios. And again, these ESP32-S2 devices already provide the USB emulation, so there will be no need to do things like plug and unplug your USB stick in order to run the 9.00 exploit. Next up is a site, and this is just called Mini PS4 Payload. As you can tell right here, it's just a small Windows-based application. You plug in your IP address, you plug in your port, and then you can send any number of these payloads. Again, you would need to make sure that you have Golden already loaded, as well as the bin loader. But I found this little app pretty useful. Has all of this already been done before? The answer to that is absolutely. This is a smaller package though. And again, this only requires .NET Framework 4.7.2. So this is still going to be a Windows thing, but kind of cool, at least in my mind. Next up is for those that are all about Minecraft, and they are Minecraft enthusiasts such as Death Dealer, and they have released a number of tools. So there is a Minecraft PS4 debug menu and other Minecraft PC mods. So right here is an asset sync tool. I don't play Minecraft, but this person has been hanging out in our Discord, which you should check out as well. And you can just scroll down into this, like paid for marketplace content transferred to the PS4, down into this. Here's a bit of a write-up on accessing that debug menu and some of the Minecraft PC mods. Again, the Minecraft tool seems to be ever evolving, and you should definitely check out this account as well as some of the links that they provided inside of these tweets. Next up, we have a bit of a facelift to Package Zone, which is basically the same thing as the Homebrew Store. So this is a new or an updated web interface. It does things like allow you to, search. You can, sort through the different types of Homebrew applications. There's also like a rating system that's in here. You can check out, info for this. You can download it directly, as well as they have a Homebrew Store, which is R2, that you can put on your PlayStation 4. Anyway, I think there's also up here, there's dark mode that you can turn it into, easier ways to find like emulators, utilities. You can even tag your favorite apps in here, and much, much more. So definitely one of those critical tools that you would want for those of you that are already in the PlayStation 4 homebrew scene. Next up, we have a bit of interesting news, and that is that there is a PlayStation Vita to Nintendo Switch OS GitHub project that is currently out there. And what this does here is that it says that this allows PlayStation Vita executables to run natively on Nintendo Switch ARM V8 CPU in 32-bit execution mode. And really the only real things that you need to keep in mind here is that you do need a Nintendo Switch that is either patched, or you need a Nintendo Switch that has a mod chip already in it. So if you have that, then here are the instructions on getting this to run on your console. But also keep in mind right now, this is more of a proof of concept, meaning that retail Vita games aren't running with this project right now. You can run a bunch of the samples and the demos of PlayStation Vita using this repo, but you can't do a whole lot more outside of that. But it will be interesting to see the developments of this going forward. Next up, in a bit of PlayStation 5 news, 4.51 was released today for the PlayStation 5. Again, here is the download link to this. And again, the guidance is always the same. Don't update to this release. Again, you'd want to stay on 4.03 if you want to take advantage of the recent web exploits. And also note, this was another Sony release where they were a bit vague on what the release actually did. I think it files underneath like bug improvements and system stability, which they're just not telling us what they're actually doing with this update. It was a incremental one. Again, the previous version was 4.50. Now we're at 4.51. And another site to note, which is actually maintained over here by PS5 FW Bot, and that is a list of all of the firmwares for the PlayStation 5. So you can scroll down into this and you can see 4.51 is located here. We've got 4.50, 4.03, and then so forth. And so you could just go into one of these folders if you wanted to. And here is the PlayStation 5 update.pup file. Again, this is more so useful in case maybe you have a lower version of the PlayStation 5 firmware and maybe there is an exploit at some point, and that exploit would only maybe be able to be possible to run on 04.03. At least all of the different updaters have been archived, and you would be able to download that update and install it manually like many folks did with the PlayStation 4 going to 9.00. Another repo that I mentioned yesterday in my PS5 4.03 video was this one, which has the PS5 WebKit execution. The reason that I've now mentioned this repo 3 times is I would like to get more eyeballs on it, because obviously here they have wrote up exactly how they explored the PlayStation 5 security, which was this user LAN, and here was some of like the key system information on the system. So like using FreeBSD11, added mitigations in kernel and user LAN, and then added a hypervisor that handles security and app containers. And then basically through this, how this exploit was created is pretty much well documented and talked about in here. My hope is that others will be aware of this repo and they can take the knowledge that they found inside of this and hopefully apply it to a future exploit that the PlayStation 5 has. And then for tomorrow, there is a new state of play. And basically in the state of play, it's usually about a 20-minute broadcast where they talk about, the future of gaming. So the future of PS4 and PS5 games. Now, there has been some speculation if they're going to show off some games for the PSVR 2, and the answer to that is no, they are not. So nothing for PSVR 2 will be in this state of play, and they did confirm that via Twitter. They did say that there was going to be a focus of games that were coming out of Japan. So maybe a Silent Hill. I know that's like too awesome to like comprehend, but maybe Silent Hill. I don't know, maybe something with the Resident Evil series. Who knows? But definitely something that I will be checking out tomorrow. Again, it's only 20 minutes. You can go to this blog post. Again, the links will be in the description if you want to learn exactly what time it's all happening, as well as a little bit more information. Okay, the last one here is going to be this PS5 DevKit Test Kit Console Manager. So it says that this is just a simple console manager for PS5 DevKit Test Kit. So you may be asking, hey, Michael, I've got a retail PS5. Will this help me? And the answer is no. So it says this software is not for use with the normal PS5 console. It's only for test and developer consoles. So there's a couple of features here so you can connect to it. Power off, rest mode, reboot. You can get the IP, the owner, the console type, SDK version, file serving root, and then you can set the mode. And here is a screenshot of what this looks like in action. I don't have any sort of dev or test kit for the PlayStation 5. I would love to have one, so if you have one, let me know. But this is, at least in my opinion, a little bit of the taste of some of the goodness that we're going to start to see more and more happening with the PlayStation 5. Again, we don't have any way to run code or homebrew on a PlayStation 5, but still, this is kind of the beginnings of what I think will be a very vibrant PlayStation 5 community. And so that's going to do it for this one. I hope these links help and maybe you can explore them further, especially if you're interested in maybe some of the emulators or maybe interested in the Vita on Switch. I think that would actually be a fun project to check out. Well, I hope this helped. And as always, thank you so very much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. With that being said, Michael out.